Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambeau channel. Just yesterday, my fellow XRP YouTuber King Solomon put out a fantastic video titled Federal Reserve Using Ripple's Interledger Protocol. And then he tweeted it out and wrote, facts, document found. Now, this is how I wish everybody in the XRP community that makes YouTube videos would approach things, with an open mind, because what King Solomon did here is he did his own research, found some interesting facts that most people are unaware of, most people completely unaware of, and I wasn't aware of 100% of what he found in here, especially with a firm named Cypherium, that in particular. But he did his own research, engaged in reasonable, healthy speculation, and did not engage in nonsense, hype, or conspiracy theories. Now, that should be the roadmap for how to behave on Twitter within the XRP community. Just my humble opinion, but a lot of people like to take things that might sound big and then just whatever the most fringe idea is that you could associate with it, they'll start running with that. And clearly, he has the same concern, because under this tweet where he was sharing his own video, in a separate tweet he wrote, setting my timer for the big-time conspiracy influencers, find this, take it, and run with it. Yup, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens in the least. So we are aware. It's just a completely different approach. I love the approach that he takes. Because it's the same approach I take. Because there's so much reason to be excited about all of this without the hype and without the conspiracy and fringe nonsense. Just do research, healthy speculation, totally cool. We don't have to get everything right. Nobody's going to be right about everything. And then share ideas so that we can all learn from one another. Because I don't know everything. King Solomon doesn't know everything. You listening don't know everything. But we all know stuff, and we can all share ideas. But before going further, I do want to be clear that I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. And by the way, I am going to link to King Solomon's video in the details section below, so if you want to check it out, and I encourage you to do so, definitely give it a whirl. Now, I've been talking about Interledger Protocol for several years. In fact, I first learned about Interledger Protocol in late 2017, and it was created years before that, in fact, as I'm going to show you. And just to highlight this, and this is a real thing, and it is good for XRP, and I'm going to explain what this means. Just to highlight this, I got some tweets pulled up, but first let me say this. When it comes to Interledger Protocol, or ILP for short, which was created by two Ripple employees, Evan Schwartz and Stefan Thomas. So, I mean, you could say, whether you say that makes it a Ripple thing because they were working at Ripple at the time, or you say it's just their invention, it doesn't really matter, because ultimately it's a protocol that nobody owns. Like, Ripple isn't even seeking to own it, and it's just been adopted globally already. Most people don't even know this. But look, Interledger Protocol, again, ILP for short, think of ILP as being equivalent to like roads or highways. Vehicles are great, but not so useful if roads don't exist. Now, once roads are built, businesses the world over can manufacture all sorts of different things to utilize those roads, such as cars, trucks, bikes, and those annoying pay-per-use scooters that are littered all over major cities. Oh, this damn lime, I swear, tripping over that damn crap. Anyway, ILP is designed to be as simple as possible. ILP makes it possible for developers to build technology that can connect all sorts of different payment systems using one standard protocol. ILP is not blockchain technology, and it is not a ledger. It connects ledgers of all kinds. Connects ledgers. Is not a ledger itself. Is not blockchain technology itself. So it connects all kinds of ledgers, including blockchains, and including ledgers from traditional finance. So this is similar to TCP/IP, which is the glue of the internet, because the internet itself, of course, it's not like it's one network, not really. It's a network of networks. It's not really one network. So TCP/IP is a simple protocol which standardizes the connectivity process of networks. So to be clear, the internet is a bunch of different networks that interoperate thanks to TCP/IP. That's why I call it the glue of the internet. So ILP does the same thing that TCP/IP does, but instead of doing it for data and websites, it does it for money. It does it for money. And it's worth mentioning this too. TCP/IP was not the only protocol in the running for potential global adoption. There was another one, and I can't remember what it was called, but I researched it years ago. I mentioned this once or twice before on the channel. But yeah, there was actually a competing protocol, and for whatever reasons, TCP/IP won out. And had it not, I don't know that we would have functionally noticed much of it. Like, if the other protocol won, I don't know that we would have noticed much, if any at all, of the difference. It's just people, the human species needed to agree on something. Like, ideally that would happen, and it actually happened here. It actually happened here. Because if most of the rest of the world is using it, then if you're using some other protocol, good luck getting that adopted. It's the same as a format war. Remember the Blu-ray fight against HD, DVD, or VHS against Betamax? Any of that? So there are format wars here. And so now you have Interledger Protocol. It may have already won. If there's another protocol out there, then I'll just claim ignorance on that because I just don't know. Maybe there is another one. There's a possibility that ILP won't be the one to win out. But even if that's the case, it's not like, as long as there's a protocol, that's what's good for XRP. It doesn't even have to be Interledger Protocol. Just whatever's adopted, that should be good for XRP. Because you understand the big vision here, as announced by Ripple. Effectively, a huge part of this is if you have Interledger Protocol, a standardized protocol to move money around the planet, what you're doing is you're encouraging more frictionless transactions of money effectively. So if there's more transactions, more stuff happening, the theory is that there should be more opportunities for XRP to be useful as a bridge currency, which would in turn increase liquidity and adoption of XRP. So it's a roundabout way of encouraging more adoption of XRP, and it should be good for the entire crypto asset class. This is not specific to XRP at all, just to be super duper clear. Just because a couple Ripple employees made it and they thought it would, ultimately, if adopted globally, be good for XRP, that's true. And I do think that makes a ton of sense. But it wasn't specifically for XRP, or else it wouldn't have gotten adopted the way it did. In fact, the W3C, World Wide Web Consortium, they actually adopted. They're the ones that decide basically what is the standard for anything having to do with the internet. Whoever put them in charge, I don't remember. I've done the research. That was years ago, though. It doesn't matter. The point is, they decide stuff, okay? They're the shadowy figures, if you want to get all conspiracy about it, because I know some of you do, right? They're the ones that are deciding all of this stuff. And it was several years ago, that Interledger Protocol began getting put into like every web browser on the entire planet. I remember seeing the story back when it happened, when it got plugged into Safari, for example. So it's on like every iPhone on the planet. And that's Ripple technology, right? Well, I mean, 2 Ripple employees created it, right? Pretty cool, right? This had to happen either way, though. This had to happen at some point anyway. There's a ton of friction when it comes to money. And so I was talking about this years ago. In fact, out of curiosity, I looked up the first time I ever mentioned ILP on my Twitter account. It was January 3rd of 2018, the day before the all-time high of XRP, coincidentally. But take a look at this. You guys familiar with Coil, right? Created by Stefan Thomas, Ripple's former Ripple CTO. Coil is a firm, and I don't see a lot of updates from these days. I hope they're doing well. I'm not sure, but I like the business idea. It's a new form of web monetization. So rather than making money, websites making money from web ads or being behind paywalls, you basically just stream money in real time for what you consume. And so it's actually a subscription service, like $5 a month, and I've been subscribing for years. But yeah, it just basically streams money to the content creator in real time. So it's a third option. Not that it would make the other options obsolete. Some people want those for various reasons, but it's a third form, which I think sounds awesome. Sounds useful. And it can settle. So Coil set it up so that you can settle. So the technology uses a blend of ILP and XRP, and you can settle to XRP, which I thought was the coolest damn thing on the planet back when this was news. Well, it's still a thing. It's just that when it was announced, it was over 4 years ago, folks. So here's a tweet from June 6, 2018 from Coil. They said, "We just launched our first open source project. Check out a totally new implementation of Codius." That's in part how the tweet read. And then somebody asked, "Could you elaborate in more detail how XRP will play a role in this?" And Stefan Thomas responded himself. And he's one of the creators of Interledger Protocol. He was Ripple's CTO. And he wrote, "Currently, XRP is the most popular settlement method in Interledger, and since it's the fastest and cheapest digital asset to transfer, and one of the most liquid, this will likely continue to be the case. We don't have to give XRP an unfair advantage. It wins any fair fight." Boom. And so that is true, because XRP is the best crypto on the planet for payments, so far as I'm concerned. They're instant, because it takes just a few seconds, so effectively real time, and fractions of a penny for a transaction. So I retweeted that. Here you can see my tweet from June 6th of 2018. And I wrote, and this is, mind you, this is like half a year before I even launched my my YouTube channel. I had almost 0 followers. You can see I got 2 likes on this. So like nobody was following me back then. But I wrote, this is why ILP is so great for XRP. First confirmation I've seen that ILP is doing for XRP what Ripple hoped it would do. If this continues, ILP will dramatically increase XRP liquidity in the years to come, which I still think is perfectly reasonable to speculate And so to be clear, when we're talking about, the federal government, the Federal Reserve, or even if you're talking about FedNow specifically, which is the Federal Reserve's payment system, if you're talking about the Federal Reserve integrating interledger protocol, I still, even after watching King Solomon's video, I haven't seen anything specifically saying that. And so I'm not trying to be nitpicky here, but more precisely, it's that there's at least one partner of FedNow named Cypherium. And I'm going to get to that in just a second. There's at least one partner of FedNow named Cypherium, and they are utilizing interledger protocol. So I'm just, again, not trying to nitpick, but I'm just saying it's not actually technically that, from what I've seen anyway. Now, if I'm missing something, let me know, and I'll happy to correct the record. I have not seen anything about FedNow explicitly stating we're using interledger protocol. I've seen zero. So if it's happening, great. That would be super duper. But either way, again, no matter what the protocol is that gets adopted for this, something will, and then XRP should just be there to benefit regardless. So Ripple just wanted something to exist. I don't think they probably honestly wouldn't care much if it were interledger or some sort of competing protocol. I don't think they'd actually care. Because the reason being, if XRP is the best crypto on the planet for payments, then it wins anyway, and it'll just bridge stuff. And if it's the most liquid and this and that, yeah, it would just happen anyway. So, and that's why Stefan Thomas here in part wrote, we don't have to give XRP an unfair advantage. It wins any fair fight. Exactly. Because XRP is fantastic. It's completely amazing. And I'm not going to read this article, but just to point out how long this is, so this is not new news. Sorry, folks, let me take a sip here. My apologies. So here's Ripple's blog series called Ripple Insights, and this is titled Implementing the Interledger Protocol in Ripple. And this is from October 6, 2015. So you can see we're coming up on 7 years here. Now, again, I want to say this too. None of this has anything to do with XRP being used by the Federal Reserve in the FedNow payment system. It is not. It still makes zero sense. The fact that ILP exists does not make it suddenly reasonable to add XRP into FedNow and just add friction. That'd be useless. That is not what any of this means, just to be clear. And that's not what King Solomon was saying either. But I'm just to make clear for anybody that hadn't seen his video yet, that's not what's going on here. Definitely not what's going on here. There is no question. Because the federal government, creating FedNow with partners and putting a network together, they already told the world how settlement works. And they use a Federal Reserve Bank master account. And so they're the trusted central authorities, which means that you don't need pre-funding. They're the federal government, so they're the trusted, I use air quotes, trusted central authority. You don't need pre-funding, and you're not converting from one currency to another anyway. So that's why. And then there was, actually I don't really need to go through this. This was just the Interledger website. I don't want to beat a dead horse because I really already explained a lot of what I could just sit here and read to you, so it's kind of pointless. But there's also, I'll mention this though. This is also from Ripple's blog series, Ripple Insights. This is from May 23rd, 2016, titled Interledger Beyond Blockchain. So you have the two creators of Interledger Protocol, who were Ripple employees at the time, and they both moved on since then. But it's Evan Schwartz and Stefan Thomas, and they were interviewed on a YouTube channel called Epicenter Podcast. And this was published, it's an hour-long interview, and there they are on the screen right there getting interviewed. This is from May 16th, 2016. I remember watching this, and I just found it endlessly fascinating. I was watching this at the end of 2017, because that's roughly when I jumped into crypto. It's like November 10th, 2017 is the day I actually jumped in. A day that shall live in infamy, at least for me. Anyway, but this is worth watching too. I'll try and remember to tack this one below too in the detail section if you want to watch this. It's 1 hour and 2 minutes. Really good stuff here, but it goes into what's the purpose of Interledger Protocol, sort of like the origin story of it as well, and it's really interesting stuff. And so I think rather than just read through this, if you're interested, I'd say just go check it out, because I'm just trying to mostly anyway stick to the nuts and bolts of what's going on here to help people understand what's going on, because there's so many moving parts of all this, and and if this is the first time you've heard of ILP, and then you're still trying to wrap your head around FedNow and what that could or could not mean for XRP or Ripple or this or that, it's just going to make things that much more complex. That's why I'm trying to mostly stick to that stuff so that everybody understands. This is good. This is, in theory, ILP, yes, it existing good for XRP, but again, as a bridge currency. That's what we're talking about, not inside of domestic movements for the FedNow system. And don't forget, the Federal Reserve has announced at launch, the FedNow system is domestic only. But I've been saying this from the beginning too. I'm very consistent in what I'm saying here. Because if I don't know what I'm talking about, I just say, I'm not sure, or I suspect so-and-so. I try to be very precise with my words. And sometimes I'm wrong, in which case I'll just say, yeah, I'm wrong. But what I'm saying here is, I've been saying this from the beginning, payment networks do still need to be connected XRP will always be great for that, for bridging. Oh, sorry, I'm so sorry. I was not coughing all day. I don't know where this is coming from. Probably got the Rona again. And also, this is worth mentioning too. A lot of people don't realize this, but RippleNet, the messaging portion of it specifically, is basically built on interledger protocol technology. So take a look at this tweet from David Schwartz, who of course is Ripple CTO, current CTO and co-creator of the XRP ledger and XRP itself. This is from February 11th, 2019. It's 3.5 years ago, roughly. He wrote, interledger protocol wasn't stable enough to build production code on when RippleNet protocols needed to be locked down. So RippleNet used an older version that was ready then. So that's part of the tweet. The rest is on there. It doesn't matter, but that's the relevant portion right there. So it's based on the same concept. And he notes that, there can be a convergence where ultimately it just basically uses interledger protocol. That's what I believe he's getting at right there, but very similar, right? And so then we jump into what King Solomon uncovered via his own work. And so we're on the FedNow official website right now, and you can see this is the service provider showcase. So the whole purpose of this is if you're a bank or financial institution, you want to plug into the FedNow system, there's 91 providers here approved by the federal government to be part of the FedNow system. And it's a showcase. So the purpose of this, if you're a bank and you want to get plugged into FedNow, you can contact any of them that you think it would make sense to potentially partner with, learn what they have to offer, and ultimately they can help you, any one of them, help you get integrated into the FedNow system. That's what this is. Okay? Now, one of the 91 providers is what King Solomon uncovered. It's this company, I hadn't heard of them, but I'm glad that he did the digging to find this all out. They're called Cypherium Blockchain Inc. Here they are on the screen right here, and he covered this in his video. And they actually have their own cryptocurrency. And he said, and I'll just take him at his word, that this is, out of the 91, this is the only firm that has their own cryptocurrency that has blockchain technology attached. And so here's the coin on Live Coin Watch, worth 2.6 cents currently, and it's traded only on 3 exchanges on the entire planet, apparently. So very small, minuscule market cap of currently just a hair over 14 million. For comparison's sake, XRP is what? Like, here, let's check. I think it's like 18 billion, probably somewhere around there, right? Yeah. Okay, so today it's 16.5 billion roughly with a B, but Cypherium, much smaller, 14 million with an M, not B with billion. So we'll see. And I don't pretend to know anything about it, so I'm not saying they're good or bad or anything of the sort. I'm just noting they exist to get to the relevant portion of this, because what King Solomon ultimately found, and I want to expand upon this a little bit, is Cypherium found that they exist, and he started just doing his own research and digging. And there's nothing about Interledger Protocol or Ripple or XRP on this page on the official FedNow website, not even the portion that highlights Cypherium. But he started digging into the white paper of Cypherium, and you can see that they do mention Ripple and they do mention XRP right here. And so here's the relevant portion. I'll just read this to you, and he covered this on his channel. Cypherium introduces the digital currency interoperability framework to enable cross-chain transactions. The notary could be any trusted third party. Compared with many others and taking into account the characteristics of its particular network, Cypherium has developed a notary mechanism, Cypherlink, which is based on the Interledger Protocol, an open protocol initiated and led by the Ripple company. Any company or individual can participate in joint development and use it for free. It is not linked to any blockchain or XRP. All right, so that's it. So King Solomon then just engaged in some healthy speculation, is kind of wondering, might this be good for XRP in the future? Well, I want to expand upon it a little further because, again, just to reiterate, if you understand that the primary vision that Ripple has had, from what I've seen over the years, for XRP benefiting from ILP, is that Interledger Protocol, if globally adopted, it will encourage more frequent transactions to occur, especially if you get to the point where you can do micropayments that are effectively free, because right now micropayments, I mean, look at fees associated in legacy finance, they're impossible. But if you have a greater flow and then you need more interoperability, well, XRP is perfect for that. So just because Cypherium is using Interledger Protocol here, which is what it seems to be, I mean, the way they wrote it is an open protocol initiate, or how did they word it? If they said it's based on Interledger Protocol, so I don't even know for sure technically if it's Interledger Protocol, but let's just say it is, right? If that's the case, it's still greater adoption of this. I'm all on board. Yeah, great for XRP. I want to note though, then you'd be bridging XRP, potentially to another platform. Maybe you're helping to convert to another currency, but that's how Ripple's been positioning XRP all along. So this shouldn't be really necessarily surprising. But that's why I want to be clear here. The fact that this exists and King Solomon is correct on all that stuff that he said, I just want to be clear that this does not mean that XRP is going to be used within the system. It makes no sense for XRP to be used domestically. And again, this whole platform, FedNow, is only domestic at the start anyway. But to think that because Cypherium uses interledger protocol, if that's actually what it is, and again, technically they said it's based on interledger protocol, so it's a little unclear. But even if it's actually interledger protocol, well, we want the whole world to do that. But whether it's that protocol or anything else, that's why I'm saying, don't think that this means something specifically awesome for XRP, like this is some sort of thing, and now XRP is getting plugged into FedNow. No, that's not how it works. There needs to be a globally adopted protocol, and a federal interledger protocol is that. Great. If it's some other protocol, great. I don't care. I really don't, because they're going to do about the same thing in theory. I'd be surprised if that's not the case anyway. So that's what's actually going on. So as far as speculation as to what this would do, or does this right here mean that XRP is going to be used in FedNow? Well, it depends on what you mean in FedNow, because it's more like bridging from a payment system to another payment system. But I've been saying that all along. Like that, Ripple's been saying that for years and years and years. If your definition of XRP being used in FedNow is bridging from one payment system to another, then it's used in FedNow. If your definition, which probably makes more sense, which is that it's connecting the FedNow system to something else, then it's being used to connect two different systems not used within FedNow. So now you see how you get into semantics there? So is XRP going to be used in FedNow in the future? Well, we're playing a semantics game now. What do you consider it being used in the system? Connecting two different payment systems? Does that mean it's used in the system, or does that mean that it's connecting two different systems? So we're splitting hairs here. Either way, there's the functionality there, so that's what I'm really cared about. But I can see that argument popping up at some point in the future once we get to that point, because of course payment systems are going to be connected, but in terms of it being used for domestic transactions, that doesn't make a damn bit of sense, and I can't imagine that it ever will. If there's some sort of scenario I've not considered, bring it to my attention. I keep asking. Not one human has been able to give an example of where it would make sense to plug in XRP domestically, because you're not converting from one fiat currency to another. And in the FedNow system, there's a Federal Reserve Bank a master account that is the trusted authority. So what do you need XRP for? Domestically, you don't. You need it globally. It's fantastic for, as a bridge currency for cross-border payments. That's the way that I'm looking at all of this. So anyway, all the credit in the world to King Solomon. That was fantastic. I love that he's doing a deep dive there, sharing what he finds with the community. This is how we all learn. I don't know everything. He doesn't know everything. You don't know everything, but we can all share what we learn and hopefully get a little bit closer to the truth with every little bit of information that we learn along the way. Let me know what you think. What did I get right? What did I get wrong? No, don't. Just leave the good stuff alone. Leave the crap out. You got something negative? I don't want. No, I'm kidding. I seriously, to be honest, I do not mind being told I'm wrong. I only think you ruin the fun of this when you get rude because someone has an opinion different than yours. But if you want to tell me I'm wrong, if you're being a tactful adult, then to me that's engaging. I don't get offended by that. I encourage that. But if people get all rude and snarky about it, that's where I'm like, okay, well, this is no longer fun. Maybe we're sort of getting closer to the truth by you telling me I'm wrong if I'm actually wrong, but you're being kind of like a jerk about it, and now it's not fun. So it's kind of like that. But I'll go ahead and wrap up here. That's the gist of what I wanted to say. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.